Hey guys, it's Amber, and I wanted to share a little process video with you guys for my Week in the Life album. As you can see there, my book plate has a Week in the Life sticker from the 2020 kit and some letter stickers from Kelly Perky. So what I'm doing here is working on my divider transparencies. So my super simple formula was to take the large 6-inch numbers. They actually came 1 through 10. I just used through 7, obviously. And I took some of the plastic hearts that are from my stash from previous kits and some of the rubber pieces that were an add-on from this kit that all say days of the week. I did the first 4 before I realized, hey, I should probably start filming this and I'm making decisions. So I used my stapler, my Tim Holtz stapler, and just stapled them right on there. Same with the hearts. I did use red line tape for the rubber pieces. That's the recommended adhesive. Also, it's on the outside of an album, so it needs to be really strong. But any other adhesives will actually react with the rubber and it makes it like kind of melt a little. So highly recommend using the red line tape. I'm using the 1/2 inch there. So once I had my day of the week in place, then I stapled the heart in case it shifted or moved or anything. So as you can see there, my process for building this album was to get all my photos in first. I don't have a ton of journaling. And my original plan was I was mixing up this year's transparencies and last year's transparencies. So I was going to use the pink 6 because I'm using the pink album and there's a lot of pink in the cards. And then I realized for the day that it was Saturday, that card behind it is like peach, blue, and red. And the one underneath is peach and blue. It has no pink in it. And it just didn't make sense once I had the rest of the album created and lined up. When I was first deciding it, I was like, oh, I'll use pink. It'll be perfect. It was too much. So I went back and chose the one from this year's kit, which is the black and clear. And I just really liked the way that worked. So I was just trying to add a pop of color. I think day 5 is also that all black one. So I didn't want black and black, but went with it anyway because the day 5 is from last year's kit. I was trying to incorporate more black into the album. So getting my 6 stapled on there once I lined it up and decided where my positioning was going to be. And for most of these, because I had them centered, I was able to use the attacher for both sides, top and bottom. For my number 1, which I did not film, I actually had it really low and I couldn't get to it from the top. So what I did is I tried to staple it with a tiny attacher open. Didn't work. Didn't have enough force to go all the way through 2 pieces of plastic. So what I did was, with the tiny little holes it created, I poked them further through with a paper piercer, and then I just took a staple and pushed it through manually and folded the ends back with like a pair of scissors, and that worked out really well. So here I am on the last day where I had last year's Sunday, which was all black polka dots, and it was just too much. I did not like it with the gray 7 and the gray heart that I had, because most of the other hearts I have were either the wrong color or they had words on them, and I'm trying not to use a ton with words because I'm kind of covering them with the day of the week. The only one that has it is my Wednesday, which says always, and it's yellow. But I chose that because the stars were yellow and the cards that day were yellow, and just it needed more of a yellow punch, which you'll see in my walkthrough album. So I'm just getting this last little bit ready to go here. Deciding where my spacing is going to be. Trying one last time on the black polka dots, but realizing that no, the white light polka dots are the way to go. It doesn't look terrible. It just, for some reason, it just did seem to really pop. So just getting that last one together. And this is one of my favorite things that I did. I wanted to make these before the rest of the album was put together, and I'm really glad that I made myself wait, because even though I didn't really change much, I did make changes to like 3 of the dividers. Actually, that's quite a few out of 7. But like the hearts didn't change, the numbers obviously don't change, the days of the week don't change, but I'm just glad I waited so I could position them where I wanted to. So moving on to my enlargements, I gave all of my enlargements the same treatment, and that is actually some of the first photos that I tackled. I printed everything at the same time. I edited day by day, printed everything all at one shot, trimmed them all out, and then started with all my enlargements first once I figured out what embellishment was going to go on it. So I had to make sure that I had everything printed that needed to be on both sides so I could stick them together. I don't like uneven edges or like white sticking out from the other side, so I use my rolling adhesive in the corners, stick the photos down, and then trim them. And then I added my tiny little chipboard hearts. They're an add-on from one of the recent kits. I'd have to look them up. I'm not sure which one, from Allie Edwards. And added those to the top of every circle. And then on the back of every enlargement, I took care of that embellishment as well. So I used, I think, all of my set of these black felt embroidered circles throughout the album. So one said life or this or love. I'm trying to think of what else they said, but I think I used almost every single one of them on some sort of enlargement. So here I had a picture of going for a walk with the kids. It's the only one that's slightly different and not in the center, but totally fine. Doesn't matter. It still follows the formula and provides some flow to the album. And on the back, the only thing I'm adding is just a simple chipboard, So I was glad to have some sort of embellishment on nearly, not every photo, but every spread or every at least like page, whether it was on the left or the right. And I was trying not to overdo it. I was also trying to use my sash. So it's like a weird combination of, trying to use up what you have and not use too much and overwhelm everything. So I think I did a pretty good job of keeping it really simple. And I really enjoyed playing with the products this year because they were really bright and colorful. So with this one here, where I put that chipboard piece, if I had known I was going to put that there, I probably would have done my journaling block differently so it had more space to breathe. It's a little cramped between the journaling and the people in the photo, but I didn't want to redo it, so I just figured it was good enough. So here I am again, like I had filmed the last couple days of me working on enlargements, so you could see what I was working on, and just gave everything the same treatment. And I originally thought it was kind of interesting that when I was setting up my album in advance, that I would kind of stick to a certain photo formula, but I was completely flexible once I realized what needed to happen. There was some photos I had to change, the format or how I printed it and what size, just because, you can't completely pre-plan everything. And there was some I didn't want to cut or one I had to, add to fill in some space. But I was glad I had enough photos to choose from. And, didn't mind adding extra pages for a day that had more photos, and I didn't take any away from other days. It was just the right amount for the slower days where not much happened. So I felt like I had a pretty good handle on it this year. So what you see me doing right now is I'm creating a flip-up pocket. So I had both of these photos about cookies and telling the story of having them for dessert. And I took like an artsy photo of them like all stacked together on like a whiteboard, which looked pretty. But I also, for some reason, really liked the photo of me like eating the cookie because I was kind of laughing when I did it. I was in the craft room. I'm just in my PJs. I'm not even sure I'm wearing a bra, to be honest with you, but I just thought it was a cute photo. So I wanted to include both. And in December Daily, I make a ton of flip-ups. So I figured, why not? So I'm using a piece of printer copy paper as my divider piece to hold them together as my hinge. I didn't want to use washi because my head's right at the top of the photo. Otherwise, in any other time, I might have used washi, but I would have totally blocked my face because of the way the photo's cropped. So by using the copy paper, you can hide the flip, and it's also really thin. If you use cardstock, it really takes up a lot more room because you have to think about the fact that you have a photo or a card for 4 layers, and the flip would make it 6 layers deep, so it gets really chunky. And I'm glad that I learned that trick because my December daily last year was really chunky and needed 2 albums, and now I know to use the copy paper. It works really well, and it will make a bigger difference in future albums. So really glad I learned that trick. The size that I use is 2 by 3 inches. So it's 3 inches wide, or you can use 4 by 6, obviously if you're doing a wider photo or any other size photo. And then just 1 inch for adding adhesive. And it seems to work really well. So I'm really happy with how that came out. So a little bit of this is off screen, I apologize. But basically what you do is you just, add the photo to the top of the inside and on the bottom for your flip up, and flip it over and add them. It's really not difficult. It takes a little bit of pre-planning and just kind of paying attention to make sure your photos or your cards are facing the way you want them to. But if you just lay everything out like how it should be in the album, you'll be able to find it. So now that I've got that completed, I'm sliding it in. And here I'm going to be showing you, I'm working on my title transparency that I created myself with vinyl. So I have my clear acetate. It's from Graphics, which I bought on Amazon. It's the same brand that Allie uses. I buy them in the 12 by 12 sheets so that if I want to, I can create a 12 by 12 transparency. I don't think I have yet, to be honest with you. I usually cut it down to something smaller, but it's really nice to have that option. So it's cut to the size of the page protector, which is, I believe, 6.5 by 8.25. And here I am. I've already created my vinyl cutting, and I'm weeding out the centers of all the letters. Luckily, there aren't that many. This vinyl looks really pretty, but it's very thick, and it's actually kind of hard to work with. It's not flexible at all, like some of them can be. And there I just was able to use my fingers and pull the rest of the sheet up. I apologize, it's a little more off camera than I was hoping that it would be. And I have a little bit more centered so that I can work on it. Now I'm grabbing my sheet that's going to allow me to transfer it onto my acetate. And unfortunately, right as I stuck it down, it bent the L weird. So I had to peel it off and straighten it back out because it was warped. So I'm just grabbing my little scrubber thingy there that's going to help me smooth everything out and help transfer it to the sticky paper. Can't think of what it's called right now, but it's from Cricut. And just testing to see if all of the vinyl is sticking to the transfer paper. It's not, so I'm just going to keep smoothing it out and trying to push a little bit harder in the spots that I know are sort of sticking until the transparency sticker pulls everything out. So I'm then going to grab my acetate, and usually I don't use this basic ray cutting mat, but I'm using it so I have the grid so that I can make sure things are lined up. I'm pretty good at lining things up, but when it's completely clear and you're laying down the whole thing and once it's laid down you can't really pick it up again, it's nice to have something that you can sort of see a nice grid background on. So I use it for that purpose. So I'm just using that same tool there to smooth everything down onto the acetate. Then I'll remove the transfer sticker paper and voila, it's right there. So really glad that I decided to create that front page, even though I have a really cute title page, I think, if I do say so myself. It just kind of had a nice opening to the album and looked really good. So hope that encourages you to create your own vinyl pages, because I've really enjoyed doing that as of late. And I think it works a little bit nicer than Mink. With Mink, I always seem to have a lot of dust issues and coverage. So the vinyl, you don't have that problem. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you feel inspired. And I will be sharing my full walkthrough for Week in the Life very shortly. Thanks so much. Bye.